Hello and welcome to Verbal to Visual. Today I would like to share with you an opportunity to develop your sketchnoting skills in a little bit more adventurous of a way than you might be used to. Here in the Northern Hemisphere, we've just hit summer, which means you might have a road trip coming up. And if that is the case, I encourage you to bring a sketchbook along and spend a bit of time capturing your experiences with some combination of drawn images and text descriptions. I had the opportunity to do just that back in 2013, and I thought it would be fun to share with you what my sketchbook looked like. I started in Oregon, made my way down and over to Colorado, then back west through Utah, Nevada, and California, and then back up the West Coast. I did a lot of camping and hiking and visiting friends along the way, and I made it my goal to draw just one thing each day. Sometimes I would draw a relatively simple object. Other times I'd try my hand at a more complex landscape, sketched out a fair number of signs and logos, and did my best to add enough of a text description just to help jog my memory of the situation that was going on connected to whatever I chose to sketch out. And I found this daily practice to be a fun way to both capture some memories and experiences from that trip and also to develop my sketchnoting skills. So as a way of encouraging you to do something similar, I thought I would lay out what I see as the inherent value in keeping a visual journal like that during a road trip adventure, as well as the skill building value in that daily activity. Skills that might make their way back into your professional life once you're home from that trip. Let's start with the inherent value in taking road trip sketch notes like what I just showed. First of all, that activity of breaking out a sketchbook and a pen encourages you to slow down and notice more. It forces you to pay closer attention to whatever it is that you're experiencing, more so than if you were to whip out your phone and take a quick photograph. A photograph that you might not even look at that closely. But when you're the one creating that visual reference of this particular moment, you just notice more of the details. And that can be a rewarding experience. This practice also has the effect of creating gateways into whole sets of memories. So even though you might be sketching out just one thing each day, that one thing that you choose to sketch out, along with a little bit of helpful text, that is likely to trigger in your brain a lot of the other things that went on that day. So in that sense, it's a creative way to document the trip itself and to remember aspects of it that you might otherwise forget. I also think that giving your experiences this extra bit of time and attention is a way to express gratitude for the places that you visit and the things that you see. So in addition to thinking of this as a visual journal of your trip, you could also think of it as a gratitude journal, as a way to show appreciation for both the small things and the big things that happen on these types of adventures. So those are some reasons why you might consider sketching out your next road trip just for the sake of doing it. But I also think it's worthwhile to point out the skill building aspects of keeping a visual journal like that. Visual thinking skills that you might be able to apply to your professional work when you're back at home. And one of the skills that you'll be developing as you're taking some road trip sketch notes is your drawing skills. You'll be able to practice those skills as you do this translation from an observed object, something that you're looking at with your eyes, translating that into lines on the page. Nothing more than straight lines and curved lines. And throughout your road trip sketch notes, you can even experiment with how simplistic versus artistic to make those drawings. For the most part, when you're using your sketch notes for more professional applications, I think it's helpful to stick towards the simplified drawings, but you might have fun experimenting with adding particular embellishments or details to see what impact that has on what's triggered in your memory, how that helps you or not to remember the experience connected to that image. And you get to do all of that in a low pressure environment in the sketchbook that you're just keeping for yourself. This type of sketched visual journal also gives you the opportunity to experiment with the interplay of imagery and text. The way I created my journal that you just saw, I always started with the drawing. I picked an object, spent maybe 5 minutes drawing it, and while drawing it, I thought a little bit about what I might want to write about it, so that by the time I was done drawing, I usually had an idea for a title to give it and a little bit of the prose description, and then tried to weave all of that to the side or around the object in an interesting way. And even if you don't want to do a ton of drawing, you could use each entry into this road trip journal as an opportunity to practice a few different fonts. Give each entry a heading, make that your title font, find a way to make it a little bit bigger or bolder, and then practice your core font below it as you add some prose description of whatever it is that you're experiencing. That's a way for you to practice and solidify some style around a couple of fonts that you'll be able to use in your sketch notes, particularly those two that I mentioned, a title font and a core font. And with those skill building benefits in mind, one way that I encourage you to think about this sketchbook that you bring along with you on your next road trip, think of it as a playground where you can experiment with ideas. Experiment with how you might capture ideas, and in this case, memories and experiences, with some combination of words and visuals. Give yourself the freedom to play around a bit and see what comes of it. Because after you do that on a fun experience like a road trip, you might be surprised at how some of those specific skills translate pretty nicely and pretty naturally into your work back home. So I hope the examples that I shared and what I just laid out here gives you a good starting point for your road trip sketch notes. If you would like to explore more ideas about how to build your visual thinking skills and apply those skills to your personal and professional life, check out the resources at verbaltovisual.com. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck on your next adventure, wherever it takes you, and I'll talk to you again in the next video. Until then.